Business Australia to talk about how things are going. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, good to see you, Aaron.
Obviously, a lot of concern at the moment about how business is dealing with this lockdown. We've got epidemiologists coming out and say, look, the numbers are getting pretty good. I mean, it was 11 yesterday. Today it's gone up to 28. Still pretty low when you're talking about a population of 6.5 million people. What's your view?
Look, I think we've got a general theme, and we talk to more small business owners every day. They really want the government to be more open with us in terms of the full facts, in terms of what's going on, the timing of things. We want things to be much clearer. We want to be open again. We want our customers to be able to come back.
It's interesting you talk about it being clear. I mean, I'm a business owner, and yet I have absolutely no idea when Bunnings is going to open. I have no idea. If something breaks in this studio, for example, there's nowhere I can go and get it, because all the shops, all the specialist shops are shut, obviously. Click and collect, some people are saying, is taking days. The post is taking weeks. So in terms of being able to fix things, the longer it goes by, I mean, it's causing all sorts of issues.
Well, that's a very practical example. And they're still like, well, what is the target? What is the date? Well, it depends upon the target. Don't get your hopes up. Look, I think the reality is with this is there's going to be a third wave. And so what are we going to do when the third wave comes? Are we going to lock down the place, throw away the key and have it be all over? We really need a whole change of mindset.
And you would imagine by a third wave, the federal government, because really when Daniel Andrews, the news poll shows 62% support him, he relies on the federal government for that, because if there was no money flowing into people's pockets, you would imagine that would be a very, very different situation. And the experience in the UK, throughout much of Europe, let's remember that Spain, kids couldn't leave home for weeks, months on end. And all of a sudden, no matter what they do, it is a virus and it spreads. And while 7,000 Victorians went and got tested yesterday, out of a population of, as I say, 6.5 million, how on earth are you meant to know whether you got everybody?
Look, and the reality is you can't eliminate it. The virus is here. We're going to have to learn to live with it, to do business with it, to get on with it. There's 3 key behaviours. We've talked about it a few times before, but we need to be trusted to get on with it. And we need to know, well, what is the capacity of the health system to deal with serious cases?
It's also a sign of our politics, though, as well, isn't it? You saw an article, I'm not sure if you read it last week, in the Age newspaper by Channel 9's political editor, Chris Uhlmann, where the Age didn't even run it for one day. They took an extra day because obviously it wasn't what they wanted to read, which was that Daniel Andrews' handling of it has been over the top, it's been too dramatic, and it overlooks the fact that this is something we're going to be stuck with for quite some time. We're essentially using up all of our reserves to deal with something early on. What are your views on that? And also Adam Crichton's article in The Australian today saying that it turned out that it's not as deadly as first thought, and have a look at the situation in Sweden.
Well, look, it's very disappointing that we're getting the sort of censorship, from the Fairfax organisation, where one of the leading, political reporters in the country, normally appears the same day in The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald, and it was held back. And these days with the internet, those articles go around. We're already seeing significant changes in the comments that people are making on websites like The Age Online. Adam Crichton, in terms of the piece that he's done today, he raises a very interesting point that the Vice Chancellor of Melbourne University has made. What is this trade-off between the cost of saving a couple of years of life, maybe of someone in their 80s and 90s, versus impacting for several years the quality of life of someone in their 20s?
Isn't that just where Western liberal democracy has taken us so, unfortunately, in the sense that, and I say unfortunately, I mean, it's obviously a great thing that we value every life, but lives lost compared to lives potentially destroyed, the governments are choosing the lives lost mode, even if it's people in their 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s that are losing their lives.
Look, I think I have great hope for liberal democracy in terms of when the full light of day, when we see all the facts in plain sight, and those days will come, that the people will actually say, hang on, we've been conned with respect to all of this. It's time for us now to make some changes with respect to the ongoing plain sight information we need to see from any government of any persuasion. The people will look to take things back into their control.
Now the dust has settled a little bit on the Victorian government's handouts for business. What's been the viewpoint that you're hearing over the past week and a bit?
Devil's still in the detail, because there's still a number of them that were announced. So it's easy to make the announcement, albeit very late after you lock everything down. But then when you get into the details, well, when can I apply? Can I actually get it? What's the timing going to be? When's it going to arrive? What am I going to do about the landlord who's ringing me every day? What am I going to do with this bank debt that's going up? So the level of uncertainty is actually much far greater after the announcements have been made around, help coming. But again, let's remember, for the sole traders, there's 33,000 out of 350,000 that could access this $3,000 at some point in time.
Which is not much money, really, is it?
Well, that's why when we get down to the full light of day, and Adam Crichton says this today, let's look at the incentives. The polls are, looking good for the Premier at the moment. but everyone's going to have friends that are in small business, family members that are in small business that are bearing all of the cost. We are not in this together. We are bearing all of the cost. A lot of people are having no impact on their incomes. But, let's see if we'd be all in it together if the decision makers were also taking a pay cut, if their incomes were at risk.
Yeah, Bill Lang, always appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bill
Alan.
Lang from Small Business Australia.